the birth of a dark genius. In the heart of 18th century Switzerland, a child was born who would forever change the world of art. His name was Johann Heinrich Fuseli, later known as Henry Fuseli. This gifted child had no idea that he would become one of the most controversial artists in history, and that his paintings would inspire both terror and awe simultaneously. Fuseli grew up in a multi-talented family where his father, Johann Caspar Fuseli, was a renowned painter and artist, while his mother, Anna Elizabeth, was a poet and intellectual. From a young age, Henry lived in two worlds, the real world surrounding him and the dark inner world that inhabited his imagination. He suffered from terrifying nightmares from an early age, nightmares that visited him every night and left him horrified until morning. But instead of succumbing to these nightmares, Fuseli decided to transform them into art. At the age of 17, Fuseli enrolled at Caroline College in Germany to study theology, but his heart leaned toward art and literature. He spent countless hours reading the works of Shakespeare and Milton, which deeply influenced his artistic development. After graduating, he decided to leave theology and focus entirely on art, a decision that angered his family, but laid the foundation for an artistic legend that would endure through the ages. In 1770, Fuseli moved to England, where he met Sir Joshua Reynolds, founder of the Royal Academy of Arts. Reynolds was deeply impressed by Fuseli's unique talent and encouraged him to develop his distinctive style that combined realism with dark fantasy. During this period, the nightmares he suffered from intensified in complexity and severity, and strange figures began to appear in his dreams. A naked woman lying on a bed, an ugly demon sitting on her chest, and a mute horse peeking its head from behind curtains. Fuseli didn't know that these nightmares would inspire him to create one of the most famous paintings in Western art history. In 1778, Fuseli traveled to Italy, where he studied the works of great artists like Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci. Fuseli returned to London in 1779, carrying with him a collection of repressed ideas and emotions, waiting to be unleashed on canvas. He felt that something great awaited him, something that would change the course of his life and the course of art forever. He knew that the nightmares that had tormented him were not just dreams, but messages from another world, a world trying to communicate with him through the language of symbols and images. And one night, while suffering from a particularly terrifying nightmare, he suddenly woke up screaming, ran to his studio, and began drawing what he had just seen. This was the moment one of the most famous paintings in art history was born. The Nightmare, the birth of a masterpiece that inspired terror and awe. In 1781, Henry Fuseli unveiled his masterpiece, The Nightmare, to the world, not knowing that this painting would spark widespread controversy and become one of the most famous and influential works of the Romantic era. The painting depicts a terrifying scene, a young naked woman lying on a bed in a position suggesting fainting or death, while an ugly demon with gleaming eyes sits on her chest and a mute horse peeks its head from behind the curtains. The scene was not merely a representation of a nightmare, but a profound expression of the unconscious fears and repressed desires that dwell in the depths of the human soul. When the painting was first exhibited at the Royal Academy's annual exhibition, it caused a huge sensation. Critics and the public were divided about it. Some considered it a brilliant work, revealing the deepest aspects of the human soul, while others saw it as an obscene and disgusting work. But what cannot be denied is that the painting generated enormous interest, attracting crowds of visitors to see it. People stood before it for hours, trying to understand the symbols and hidden meanings behind this terrifying scene. Fuseli didn't expect this overwhelming success, but he was happy that he had finally been able to express the nightmares that had tormented him for years. In a rare interview with the London literary magazine, Fuseli said, "I don't paint what I see in the external world, but what I see in my inner world. The nightmares that torment me are not a punishment, but a gift. They give me access to worlds others cannot see." Following the success of The Nightmare, Fuseli began painting a series of works exploring themes of fear, horror, and the supernatural. He painted scenes from Shakespeare's plays, particularly Macbeth and Hamlet, infusing them with his unique dark vision. He also painted scenes from Milton's Paradise Lost, bringing to life the terrifying demons and angels of this epic work. During this period, Fuseli became friends with some of the most prominent figures in English intellectual and artistic life, including the poet William Blake, the writer Mary Wollstonecraft, and the political philosopher William Godwin. These relationships enriched his intellectual and artistic life, exposing him to new ideas and perspectives that influenced his work. In 1788, Fuseli was elected as a full member of the Royal Academy, a recognition of his significant contribution to the art world. He began teaching at the Academy, where his unconventional teaching methods and radical ideas about art attracted many students. Among his students were some of the most prominent artists of the next generation, including William Eddy and John Constable. But despite his professional success, Fuseli's personal life was turbulent. He fell deeply in love with Sophia Rawlins, one of his students, but their relationship was complicated by the significant age difference between them and social conventions of the time. This unrequited love inspired some of his most emotional and passionate works, including paintings depicting tragic love stories and doomed romances. In 1790, Fuseli created a sequel to The Nightmare titled The Nightmare Incubus, which was even more terrifying than the original. This painting depicted the same demonic figure, but in a more active and menacing pose, suggesting that the nightmare was not just a passive experience, but an active assault on the human psyche. The painting was met with mixed reactions, with some critics praising its artistic brilliance, while others condemned it as excessively disturbing. Throughout this period, Fuseli continued to suffer from nightmares, which he documented in his journals. These journals reveal a man struggling with deep psychological conflicts, torn between his rational mind and his irrational fears, between his desire for social acceptance and his need to express the darkest aspects of human nature. In one entry from 1792, he wrote, "The demons that visit me at night are not external beings, but parts of myself that I refuse to acknowledge during the day. They are my repressed desires, my unspoken fears, my hidden shames. When I paint them, I am not creating monsters, but exposing the truth of human existence." The legacy of a visionary artist. As the 18th century drew to a close, Henry Fuseli had established himself as one of the most distinctive and controversial artists of his time. His unique style, which combined classical techniques with dark, imaginative themes, had earned him both admirers and detractors. But beyond the controversy surrounding his work, Fuseli was making a significant contribution to the development of Romantic art, influencing generations of artists who would follow in his footsteps. In 1799, Fuseli was appointed Professor of Painting at the Royal Academy, a position that allowed him to shape the future of British art. His lectures were legendary, combining erudition with passion and challenging conventional ideas about art and creativity. He encouraged his students to look beyond the visible world and explore the realms of imagination and emotion, arguing that true art came from the soul rather than mere technical skill. Among his most devoted students was William Blake, who would later become one of the most important poets and artists of the Romantic era. Blake was deeply influenced by Fuseli's ideas about the power of imagination and the importance of exploring the darker aspects of human nature. Their friendship would last until Fuseli's death, and their correspondence reveals a mutual respect and admiration for each other's work. In the early 19th century, Fuseli's work began to gain international recognition. His paintings were exhibited in Paris, Berlin, and Vienna, attracting the attention of artists and collectors across Europe. The French Romantic painter, Eugène Delacroix, was particularly impressed by Fuseli's use of color and dramatic composition, and his influence can be seen in Delacroix's later works. But it was in Germany that Fuseli's influence was most profound. The German Romantic movement, with its emphasis on emotion, individualism, and the supernatural, found a kindred spirit in Fuseli's work. Artists like Caspar David Friedrich and Philipp Otto Runge were inspired by his ability to depict the invisible world of dreams and nightmares. In 1804, Fuseli created one of his most ambitious works, The Three Witches, a painting depicting the witches from Shakespeare's Macbeth. This massive canvas, measuring over 10 feet wide, was a tour de force of dramatic composition and psychological intensity. The painting was exhibited at the Royal Academy to great acclaim, cementing Fuseli's reputation as a master of theatrical and emotional art. Throughout this period, Fuseli continued to explore the themes that had fascinated him throughout his career: the relationship between the conscious and unconscious mind, the power of dreams and nightmares, and the thin line between reality and fantasy. His work became increasingly introspective, reflecting his own psychological struggles and philosophical inquiries. In 1810, Fuseli suffered a severe illness that left him weak and bedridden for several months. During this time, he experienced some of the most vivid and terrifying nightmares of his life. which he later described in his journals as visions from the abyss. These experiences inspired a series of drawings and paintings that are considered among his most powerful and disturbing works. As he recovered from his illness, Fuseli began to reflect on his legacy and the impact of his work on the art world. In a letter to his friend William Blake, he wrote, "I have spent my life exploring the dark corners of the human soul, and I have found both terror and beauty there. I hope that my work will inspire future generations to embrace the full spectrum of human experience, including its shadows and mysteries." In his later years, Fuseli became increasingly interested in literature and poetry, translating works from German and Italian into English, and writing essays on art and aesthetics. His intellectual curiosity was boundless, and he continued to engage with the most pressing, philosophical, and artistic questions of his time until his final days. On April 16, 1825, Henry Fuseli died at the age of 81, leaving behind a remarkable body of work that continues to fascinate and disturb viewers to this day. His funeral was attended by many of the most prominent figures in the British art world, a testament to his significant influence and enduring legacy. The enduring influence of a master of the macabre. The death of Henry Fuseli did not mark the end of his influence. Rather, it was the beginning of his ascent to artistic immortality. In the decades following his death, his work continued to inspire artists, writers, and thinkers across Europe and America, cementing his place as one of the most important precursors of the Romantic movement and a pioneer of psychological art. In the mid-19th century, the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood, a group of English artists who sought to return to the detailed and intense style of early Renaissance painting, drew heavily on Fuseli's work. Artists like Dante Gabriel Rossetti and John Everett Millais admired his ability to combine technical precision with emotional intensity, and his influence can be seen in their depictions of medieval and mythological subjects. The Gothic Revival movement, which swept through Europe and America in the 19th century, also found inspiration in Fuseli's dark and dramatic style. His paintings of supernatural subjects and his exploration of the darker aspects of human nature resonated with the Victorian fascination with the mysterious and the macabre. Authors like Edgar Allan Poe and Bram Stoker were influenced by his visual language, incorporating similar themes of psychological terror and supernatural horror in their literary works. In the 20th century, Fuseli's influence extended to the world of psychology and psychoanalysis. Sigmund Freud, the founder of psychoanalysis, was fascinated by the nightmare and saw it as a visual representation of his theories about the unconscious mind and repressed desires. Freud's interpretation of the painting as a manifestation of sexual anxiety and unconscious fears brought new attention to Fuseli's work and established him as a pioneer of psychological art. The Surrealist movement of the early 20th century, with its emphasis on dreams, the unconscious, and the irrational, found a precursor in Fuseli's work. Artists like Salvador Dali and Max Ernst admired his ability to depict the strange and disturbing world of dreams, and his influence can be seen in their explorations of the subconscious mind. In the world of cinema, Fuseli's visual language has had a profound impact on the horror genre. Directors like Alfred Hitchcock and Tim Burton have drawn inspiration from his dramatic use of light and shadow, his distorted figures, and his ability to create a sense of psychological terror. The image of the incubus sitting on the chest of the sleeping woman has become an iconic visual trope in horror films, appearing in countless movies that explore themes of possession and supernatural assault. Today, Henry Fuseli's The Nightmare is one of the most recognizable paintings in Western art, reproduced in countless books, articles, and documentaries. It has become a symbol of the Romantic era's fascination with the dark and mysterious aspects of human nature, and its influence can be seen in contemporary art, literature, and popular culture. The painting is currently housed in the Detroit Institute of Arts, where it continues to attract visitors from around the world who are drawn to its mysterious and disturbing imagery. Art historians and scholars continue to debate its meaning and significance, offering new interpretations that reflect contemporary concerns about psychology, gender, and sexuality. Fuseli's legacy extends beyond his individual works to his broader contribution to the development of art as a medium for exploring the depths of human consciousness. His belief that art should engage with the full spectrum of human experience, including its darkest and most mysterious aspects, has influenced generations of artists who have followed in his footsteps. In recent years, there has been a renewed interest in Fuseli's work, with major exhibitions at the Tate Britain in London, the Kunsthaus Zurich in Switzerland, and the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. These exhibitions have introduced his work to new audiences and have sparked fresh debates about his place in art history and his relevance to contemporary artistic and cultural concerns. As we look back on Henry Fuseli's life and work, we can see that he was more than just a painter of nightmares. He was a visionary artist who dared to explore the darkest corners of the human soul and to give visual form to the invisible world of dreams and fears. His work continues to challenge and inspire us, reminding us of the power of art to reveal the hidden truths of our existence and to illuminate the mysterious depths of the human psyche. In the end, Fuseli's greatest achievement was not just the creation of a single masterpiece, but the opening of a door to a new way of seeing and understanding the world, a way that embraces the mysterious, the irrational, and the terrifying as essential aspects of the human experience. His legacy lives on in every artist who dares to explore the dark side of human nature, in every writer who delves into the depths of the unconscious mind, and in every viewer who finds in his work a reflection of their own deepest fears and desires.